I'm just Sir, and welcome to the Arsenal Fan Experience. Today I'll be going in depth into Arsenal's attempt to seek revenge hu- for their humiliating opening match that was. And as as we begin today, and obviously between the history between Arsenal and Brentford goes back to the opening game of the season where Arsenal he got there, but handed to them by Brentford and lost in a miserable fashion, 2-0. And at the time, no one could have predicted that match. Could that no one could have predicted that result could have happened, as Brentford was almost an unknown, just having only qualified really from getting in the playoff of the championship. But they proved themselves that day, and they look to recreate that again today. As specifically, both teams, as I like to point out, have gone in completely different directions. Where Arsenal have obviously learned from that loss, and have climbed up the table. Brentford have fluctuated in between the top 10, where they were for the early part of the year, to now where they are in 14th, only 6 points out of a relegation spot. But as we look at the starting lineup for games today, no real surprises except for obviously the loss of Gabriel Martinelli, who was obviously suspended for getting a red card against Wolves. And in his place, Emile Smith-Rowe, which I was very glad to see him get a chance to start, as he's really proven it coming off the bench this year how a world class he really is. And against a team like Brentford, it looked like that was bound to continue as well. Cedric would once again start at right back for Arsenal with no Tomiyasu available, unfortunately. And very early on, Arsenal would have three great chances in succession, with one chance going just over the net, another one where it looked like Alexander Lacazette had been taken down for a penalty by the Brentford defense, and most notably, what looked like was the first goal for Arsenal in the 13th minute by Alexander Lacazette, and unfortunately had to be looked at by VAR, and it was ruled by the tiniest millimeter that it was Lacazette was offside, and so it was deemed no goal. And that's incredibly frustrating in how minuscule it really can come down to. And Arsenal again would not have a ton of luck with calls today, as even in just under 10 minutes later, they had got another great chance from Bukayo Saka, and the supporters seemed to think and were insistent that it was a penalty, but referee was not buying it, and play continued. Once again, throughout the entirety of the first half, it seemed to be riddled with potential penalty calls, and that would again occur in the 39th minute, where it looked like a Brentford defender may have indirectly touched the ball with his hand, and it was looked at by VAR, as it should, but they couldn't deem that it was an obvious call, and so therefore, once again, Arsenal would not be rewarded a penalty, even though. And I looked at this firsthand, that it looked like Visa had outstretched his arm in an unnatural position to attempt to block the shot, and that's a little peculiar as to why that wasn't, in that instance, it wasn't given as a penalty. But I digress. So overall, it was a frustrating first half, but it was filled with some encouraging play by the Gunners. It just unfortunately couldn't get the calls they desired, but they they were clearly the better team, and as I'll go into in depth in the second half, their hard work would pay off, specifically in the 48th minute, just after the first half, just after the second half began. Neil Smith Rowe, who I've been giving all this praise to, finally paid off as through a great passing play between Thomas Partey and Alexander Lacazette. It came to Smith Rowe, who, in typical fashion, as he has done for a plethora of goals this season, put it in his favorite place, the bottom right corner, past David Raya, and and into the net to give Arsenal a 1-0 lead. And it's not probably his best goal of the season, but it's definitely up there. And considering it was his ninth goal, uh, in a season that he has rarely even started for, that is incredibly impressive, and he has just been on fire this year, which potentially could earn him a. It would not surprise me at all if he earned a spot on the English national team at the World Cup. But for all his good play, he would eventually be subbed off in the 75th minute for Nicola Pepe, who, when Pepe came on, I was a little skeptical, but even he seemed to be energized in this match, as just a couple minutes later he would have a great chance off of a Martin Odegaard pass, just unable to get it past the back of the net, as it was blocked on the line. But their persistence would pay off just a minute later, as Alexander Lacazette appeared to have fouled Pontus Jansson of Brentford, but there was no call, so play continued. And Lacazette passed it up to Thomas Partey, who put in a great pass to Bukayo Saka. And Saka, you can't give that man that much room. Like, he's dangerous even with the smallest amount of room, and he was able to exploit it. And using his dominant left foot, put it into, ironically, the same place Smith Rowe did, and give Arsenal a 2-0 lead, of which I was a more important goal than I suspected, as in the 90 in the addition three additional minutes at a time, Brentford would score what could have potentially been a meaningful goal to salvage a draw by Christian Nørgaard. It was kind of a convoluted and messy play, but they were able to get one in, and that's really the only way they can score on Aaron Ramsdale, because he's just so focused and determined not to let any goals go in. And contrary to Bernd Leno, who's interesting, I like Leno when he played. He tended to make a lot of mistakes when he started for Arsenal, not compared to Ramsdale, who's almost is near flawless in most games. And so that's and then so that and that was the match, as Arsenal walks out of the Emirates today with a 2-1 win over Brentford. And it's obviously, with him having played such a limited amount of games this year so far, and having not played since and having not played almost 10 days, they looked very good. They were energized, they were enthusiastic. Getting to play in front of their home stadium again was definitely a contributing factor to their success today. If there's one criticism though I have, it may have to go to Alexander Lacazette, as he wasn't particularly dangerous today. And if not for Arsenal's two midfielders in Smith Rowe and Saka, they probably couldn't have really been successful. And I think that in this case they did they did miss the goal poacher that is Gabriel Martinelli. And as they look to take on Wolves again on Thursday, if he does end up coming back, which I'm not 100% sure at the moment, he will definitely come in handy. But my man of the match today goes to Emil Smith Rowe. And it's kind of obvious, him being this goal scorer. But for real though, he was just dominant in every aspect of the game. Tracking back on defense, uh, putting in some great chances, putting in some great passes, and ultimately finishing with the first goal. So anyway, leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed my reaction, and join me next time on the Arsenal Fan Experience as Arsenal takes on Wolves. Arrivederci.